So today we're going to be talking about the 5 things you should do if you're new to the iPad. Some of you just got a new iPad and you're trying to figure out how you want to use it and how you want to set it up. So I'm going to give you the 5 tips on how you can stay plugged into your iPad here in 2021 right now. So let's get it. Hey, this is Rodney from Coach Plugged In, keeping you plugged into your tech here in 2021 and beyond. So if this is your first time plugging in, consider subscribing. So like I said, the 5 tips on how to get started with your iPad. And it doesn't matter which iPad you have, whether it's the 7th gen, 8th gen, iPad Air, iPad Pro, 11 inch, 12.9 inch, whatever iPad it is that you have, all of these tips will work for each iPad. Tip number 1 is determining what you will use your iPad for. A lot of people use their iPad for productivity, some people use it for creativity, some people just merely use it for entertainment. So discovering what you're going to use your iPad for is ideal, because if you can set it up the right way, then you'll get the most out of it and you'll get more bang for your buck in your iPad and how you do things on the iPad. Number 2, downloading your apps. Now, once you've discovered how you want to use your iPad, whether that's going to be productivity, entertainment, creativity, then you'll start piecing together which apps you want to use. Now, some of my favorite apps I can list below, or I can even talk to you about it, but also make sure you subscribe to the channel and look at the link below when it drops of my favorite iPad apps here in 2021. Some of my favorite apps include some of the regular Apple apps like Notes and Reminders, and even the FaceTime app and the messaging app, just for when I'm just trying to do some entertainment stuff. But then for creative purposes and for productivity purposes, things like Notion or LumaFusion or even Canva. A lot of apps come in the App Store, and the beautiful thing about using the iPad over any other device, I think, is the ability to have endless amounts of apps. Pretty much anything that you can think of, there's an app for it in the App Store. And so honestly, if you can't find it, then you probably need to make it. So number 3 is setting up your iPad. So once you have discovered what you're going to be doing on your iPad, and then you download some of the best apps for that category, the next thing that you would want to do is to set your iPad up in a way that helps you get to those apps the fastest. Now, what I do personally for me is that I put some of my most used apps in the dock. You can fit up to 12 applications in the dock, and then also any app that you open, those apps will pop up on the side as like a little window to kind of tell you that you've recently used these apps. So most of my favorite applications will go in that dock, and then I'll also put some widgets off to the side. Now, one of my favorite widgets so far right now is from Flex Widgets, and it's just a picture of me and my daughter and the calendar and also the weather. Another widget that I have on the side is the usage app, and that's just telling me how much storage that I have used on my iPad and how much is left on the iPad also. And then just a quick way of getting into my notes from the widget, so I can click on those. If I were to swipe up, I would have other widgets, kind of like some shortcuts or even other things that I would want to do on the iPad. So when you set your iPad up, you can put some of your favorite things on the iPad dock, or you can actually just put everything on the screen and just have different pages that you swipe through. However you set it up will be best for you. My best way of doing it is to keep the home screen clean and put everything in the dock or on the widgets. Before we jump into the next tip, I'm hoping that you are getting plugged into your iPad. Let me know by hitting that like button. And question for you, what iPad are you using if you have an iPad? Let me know down below the like button in the comments. So tip number 4, now we're jumping more into the accessory side of things. So now you've determined what you're going to use it for, you've downloaded some apps, and you've now set up your home screen and other things. Now we're going to try to get into what we're going to use to get the most out of our iPad. Me, I'm more of a typer, more of a productivity person. So some of the first things that I went for were keyboards. So I started out with having a keyboard, wireless keyboard and mouse for the iPad. I got those from Satechi, and those were things that I used first. And I used to put my iPad on a stand. Some of you may be writers, so you would want to go out and get the Apple Pencil, because that's the best thing that you can get for writing on the iPad. There are some alternatives, and I will link those below. And if you're going to be going in the writing direction, you'll also need something like a Paperlike screen protector. Obviously, Paperlike is the best company to go with, but there are some very good brands out there that have Paperlike screen protectors. I will link one below that I am using currently, and I really like it. If you're going with the typing side, there's many ways you can go. Like I said, I started out out with a Satechi keyboard and mouse that were wireless. You can also get the Apple selection of the Smart Folio keyboard, or you can go with Logitech's keyboard cover case that they have that they just came out, but that is only for the 11-inch iPad, and it will also fit the iPad Air. But then you can also go up to the baller edition that everybody loves, the iPad Magic Keyboard. Now, personally for me, when the iPad Magic Keyboard came out, I tried it out and I was thinking to myself like, okay, this is an expensive keyboard, but it is probably the best keyboard you're gonna ever get for an iPad. I don't know how Apple can make it any different. People do have their gripes about the keyboard itself. I will leave a video right up here so you can see when I first got the Apple Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro. But honestly, it's the best you can do. Apple Pencil is going to run you about $130. The Magic Keyboard is going to run you about $300 or $350 if you're on the 12.9-inch iPad. So think carefully about that right there. And also, if you've determined what you're going to do and you've got the apps for it, then push an envelope for a nicer product with the accessories is gonna be helping you get whatever you need to get done. And lastly, it is just discovering and playing around with how you want to use your iPad. This will vary for different people. Like, I know for me, I have one of my best friends who's an artist. He has the Apple Pencil and he loves to draw. For me, I use alternatives to the Apple Pencil because I'm not much of a drawer, so I couldn't justify spending that much money on having an Apple Pencil. Now, the Apple Pencil alternatives that I do have get the job done for me. Just for writing down some notes, I can still use Scribble. I can still, do anything I need to do with a pencil, or even if it's coming to like editing photos, I can still use the pencil for that. And I do have a video getting ready to come out about an Apple Pencil alternative that I think we all will like. That's a little bit less of a price. Some people may want to use external monitors. I know one of the best apps that came out in 2020 was the Shift Screen app, where you can plug up your iPad to an external monitor and be able to use it at its full real estate. That is something that the iPads currently don't have. If you plug it up to the monitors, it'll have these black bars on the side. But with an app like Shift Screen, you can use your iPad and make it full screen and also still be able to use your iPad screen as well. So if you're looking into the external monitor game and you're wanting to make this more like a desktop computer for you sometimes, you can definitely do that. But the goal here is to find what's comfortable for you and get into creating or entertaining or whatever productivity that you're going to do with your iPad, and so that you can enjoy it the most. So those are my tips for what you should do when you get the iPad. A lot of people are getting iPads now, especially with the iPad Air coming out and it's made like a pro. This is the beginning of a series of how to get more done on your iPad. So this right here is part 1 on what to do when you get an iPad, on setting it up and things like that. If you have any more comments or questions, let me know down in the comments. Maybe I can make a dedicated video to that, or I might be able to answer your question down in the comments. So I will see you all down there. And like I said, if this is your first time plugging in, consider subscribing, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.